What's up, everybody? Welcome to the IOP family. I am your host, Moni-Moni, with a brand new episode. Welcome to the beginning, and don't forget to stay. We are going to get inspired and breathe in the true meaning of what it takes to create opulence in our everyday lives. On today's episode, I have an amazing guest and a great friend of mine, Letty Pressler, who is here to talk about Color Me Beautiful Airbrush Tans. Hello. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Absolutely. And we are excited to have you. So first, we want to get to know a little bit about who Letty is. Let us know who this inspirational woman.
Well, first of all, I am a Christ servant. I love Jesus with all my heart. I'm a believer. I'm a wife. I'm a mom, a proud Latina, an entrepreneur, a woman encourager, and woman inspirer. That's kind of the things that encapsulate me.
Wow. Yes. And that's very beautiful. Very beautiful. So I do have to ask you though, if someone would have told you 5 years ago that you would be right here, right now, what would you say?
I wouldn't believe you. Well, 5 years ago, let's see. Doing airbrush tans, because I've been doing them for 12 years this year. So 5 years ago, definitely I've grown since 5 years ago. But honestly, if you would have told me, like, even before I started my airbrush tanning business, and the fact that I even do what I do today, if somebody would have told me that, especially as like a little girl, I would never have believed you. Not in a million. Absolutely not. Encouraging other women or inspiring other women when I used to struggle with feeling less than is not something that I would believe that I would be doing today. So definitely not.
Crazy how the world changes, right? You go from one perspective of knowing who you think you know you are, and then grow into this, you have this metamorphosis kind of happen. And then you're like this complete new butterfly. And it's great. It's great to see the change, So I do have to ask though, what pushed you to embark on this journey? Like, what was your main aha moment? What made you say, this is what I'm going to do, point blank on serious, especially the tanning business?
With the tanning business, honestly, I was working your regular, 9-to-5 job. And I had just had my son, which I have 2 children, but my son was still a baby. But I had recently, just started to come into my own. I was probably 25 years old then. I have alopecia areata, which is an autoimmune disease that causes your hair to fall out. And so for so long, I used to try to hide my spot, do all this stuff. And at about 25 years old, I got to the point where I really couldn't hide it anymore. And I literally sat on my counter and I was crying. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? And that's when I said, I need to just start wearing wigs. And honestly, that's the point that started me becoming more confident in who I was and kind of just owning that instead of letting it hold me back. From that moment on, I just started to feel this movement that I wanted to help other women in some way. I truly felt God was asking me to start a business where I could help women feel confident and loved and help them to see their worth. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just knew that was the main purpose, what I was supposed to be. And I started just researching different things that I could do. I stumbled upon airbrush tanning. And so I researched all about it. How could I do it? And, I found a company to get trained. I went and got trained, certified. And that's kind of how I started. And that's why I started my business.
Wow, man, that's a lot, that's a truly inspirational story right there, especially with what you've gone through and then being a mom at the same time. And then, feeling that need of you're being called to do something, that sometimes it feels even bigger than yourself, so that's a beautiful thing to embark. And thank you for what you do, out there helping other women, and I think that's where we all need to stand together is we are women. We need to help support each other, because we never know what someone is truly going through, and
for me, it wasn't, yes. I'm all about providing a safe way to tan. I don't, I promote healthy tanning, stay out of the tanning bed. Obviously that's what I do, but my main purpose wasn't that. My main purpose was to get a woman alone in a room for 15 minutes. You can't get more vulnerable than getting naked in front of somebody, right? And so it's it was just me in my way of just finding that 15 minutes alone with a woman where she feels really vulnerable and just, kind of speak into her insecurities, because truly you feel super insecure, especially when you have to get undressed. And usually the first thing somebody says to me is like, I'm so sorry you have to look at this. And I'm like, don't apologize for your body. Like that's not what you need to do. I'm here to encourage you and help you with that. So yes, I am providing tanning, but that's my main purpose, is just to help encourage and inspire and help women love themselves.
Right. You see, guys, share the love, and learn to love our bodies. Like, I think that the hardest thing, because our bodies go through so many transitions, and yeah, it's heartbreaking when you hear women saying, oh, sorry, you have to see this. Like, no, embrace it. Embrace every mark, every scar, every, stretch mark and things like that, because it's truly something beautiful. You won't find another body like yours. I don't care how many things you do to yourself, but the reality is you won't find another body like yours. Your body is your body, and your body has your essence, so it's very beautiful to acknowledge yourself and also have other people, you provide this safe space for them. And that's truly inspiring, because I feel like we need more of that. We need more safe spaces, So in the tanning business, so tell us, what are some of the things you want the listeners to know about Color Me Beautiful? What should they consider if they're looking to pursue this similar journey? Like, we want to know the true knit and grit. How did you start? And, what can you tell the next person that owns this tanning salon? What are some tips and things you think they should know before starting this?
I feel like people need to have like a why. Like, why are you doing it? Your sole reason to do something can't be rooted in money or any of those types of things, selfish desires. You have to have a main purpose. Why is it that you're doing it? Yes, it's a great little income, and it can be what you want to make it. It can be your sole business that provides for your family. It can also just be a great little side hustle. But why do you do it? And have a real reason why, because otherwise you can get burnt out in anything that you do. If you don't have a passion for what you're doing, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be sustainable. You won't get, so have a good reason, have a why. The way I started my business was I went and got trained in Houston. I found a mobile tanning association, and I went and got trained. I had, honestly, when I was doing this, I knew that the reason why I was doing it was obviously to reach women. But I had no, my goal wasn't really to make this like my career. I didn't think that that's where it was going to go. So I had a job, and I started doing it on the side. I would do it on the weekends, some evenings, and I would literally go to people's homes. I have a pop-up tent. I would set up in their house and just started, I would do that. And that's how I started. And not too long into being in business, I hired a makeup artist because I was going to do a photo shoot to promote my business. And on that photo shoot set, she was like, I have a little extra space in my studio. Would you be interested in joining me? And at that point, I was like, well, I'm not even like, that's rent, all this stuff that I'm not looking to go. Like right now, I don't have any, I'm like, I don't really know. And so I was like praying about that. And then I talked to my husband. I said, I feel like I need to do this full time. And he looked at me, because we're a 2-income family. He's like, do you have enough clients to do that? I was like, I don't. But I truly believe that this is what God's asked me to do. I know I can do, like, this is what I'm being asked to do. So I did. I took a chance on myself. I moved into that studio, and, I started building my clientele, and then from there just kind of grew my business. And I was in that location for about 6 years. And then at that point, I was super busy. I have an amazing clientele base that just have been with me throughout all the years. And I was looking for a business partner because I wanted somebody to just help me, with overflow, and have somebody else help me. And I had a client that was one of my clients, and she had been interested. Let's take it back a little bit. Not too long after I went off and started doing full time, I was asked to be a trainer for the Mobile Tanning Association. And so I've trained many, many businesses in my area, surrounding areas, Texas. And so she had asked me, I had stopped training at that point. I was no longer training because it was too much for me. I just needed to focus on the business. And so I told her, I reached out to her because she was in my heart. And I said, I'm not training anymore. And I know you were looking for it. I said, would you be interested in being my business partner? And she was like, all for it. And so I brought her in. 6 years in, I moved to a new studio, and she is the one who really does all my social media for me. So all the Color Me Beautiful Facebook Facebook and Instagram is run by my business partner, Mandy, who's absolutely amazing. And I trained her, and she has her own clientele base. I have my own clientele base, but we also, like, if I'm too busy, I'm like, oh, Mandy. If she's too busy, she'll say, hey, check with Letty, So it's kind of how my story goes. But I feel like if somebody is interested in doing it, again, I would say do your research, get properly trained. Don't, yes, you can look at YouTube videos. YouTube can teach you anything. But I think being hands-on trained, find somebody that will do hands-on training for you. And then I also say start small, because I think a lot of people, when they start a business like this, they're like if they see me in a studio, they're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to move into a studio and have this. And that takes time. I think building your clientele base, I say going mobile, going to people's houses, that's the way you save money on the overhead cost, unless you already have that and you can do that. But it takes time and staying consistent, and also knowing that this business is very seasonal. You have times where you're super busy. Like right now, springtime is crazy busy for airbrush tanning because everybody's starting, the sun's coming out, it's getting warmer, the legs are coming out. And so, but then you also have times, like, in the winter where you're not as busy, and definitely you slow down. So that's something that you have to keep in mind when you're going into a business like this. So.
Right. Okay. So I guess the other question I would have is, what can you say? Like, let's say someone is in it for the business aspect, right? So let's say they open this shop, right? Or they have this studio, and then they hire, qualified people to start, the tanning business as well, like work in there. So what would you say to them? Like, if they just wanted to look at it from the business aspect, right? So should they do their research on who they're hiring, things like that?
Absolutely. I have no desire to have employees. So I don't employ anybody. Like, my business partner is my equal. I don't look at her. She's not I don't pay her for anything. She runs a business. She kind of runs her own business under the same umbrella of my business. So I definitely feel if you have no business experience and you're starting from the bottom, definitely find some training that will give you some of that. So the training that I took definitely was like an all-inclusive training. It wasn't just like, let me teach you how to airbrush tan. It was also taxes, all these things that you need to know when you start your business, how to file your taxes, all these things that come along with running a business, expenses, all those things, having an accountant. Definitely you want to make sure that you know what you're doing, especially if you're trying to go and move into a studio right away and have employees. I mean, again, you can do that, and there's ways to do that. But my personal advice, and this is what I would always tell people when I would train them, is start small and build. If that is your ultimate goal, start small and get there. Have patience, because it takes time, and stay consistent. Because that's where people fall off, is like, okay, well, I'm not as busy, this isn't going to work, and they give up. And it's like, you can't give up. You have to know that you're not always going to be as busy, and there's seasons when you will be busy. So that's just my advice, my personal opinion.
Yes. And I ask because, people look at business differently, right? Some people love what they do and they branch out, and they start their own business and things like that. And then some people just love the aspect of business. They want to have employees. So, what we're doing here at the IOP is really giving those people options and a voice of knowing exactly what they want to do, how they want to come about it. If this is something they're wanting to do your research, look into your nearest available spot that will help teach you these things. And, like you have a partner, if you're going to go into a business with someone, look into how your partner does business, see how they would fit and what kind of environment you want to build, because you have an encouraging and loving environment, and, pay attention to that. If you do want to build this, go ahead.
Just speaking on that, like when I, brought in my business partner, it was like, okay, I had built this for 6 years. It wasn't easy. I literally went into all the boutiques here in my city, introduced myself. I mean, I did everything to build the business. So, and that was 6 years in. So like what I had built was what I had built. And so sharing the business with somebody, you would think, oh my gosh, it is scary. It's scary, but that is the truth. You have to find somebody that you trust, that that aligns with you, with the morals and the goals and that you have for your business, that they also feel that way, you know?
Right.
So like she truly was, it was like, it wasn't even hard for me with her because it just felt like, yes, like she fits, she knows, she understands what I'm after. She's going to be the same way. And so, yes, if you are going to partner with somebody, you definitely want to make sure that they align with what you're going after, because they're a face for what you've built or what you're going to build together if you go in together at the same time.
Right. Yes. See, we're building a true village here, like honestly. And I think that's what it takes, is a village. You know, we got to take care of one another, and, you know, we have to learn to embrace one another, embrace each other's needs and things like that. So be considerate of who you're going to add to your team, or if you are just doing this by yourself, you know, because it's a lot to take on. Owning a business is a lot. So if it is something you want to do, you know, definitely do your research. Do your research on how you want to do it, and then envision yourself exactly what you want to do. You know, do a vision board, write out, or, you know, take pen and paper, you know, as Miss Kemia would say, one of our other guests, you know, take pen and paper and write down and really look into who you are as a brand and what you want to represent, you know, because that's really important. I think the more you're able to showcase who you want to be and how you want to run your business, that's how you're going to attract your clientele as well, you know, and loyal customers at that. Because if you're truly someone and doing this from the heart because you know it's something you love to do, you're going to attract those natural clients that are just going to be loyal to your service. So,
Absolutely.
and I think that's a really important thing to acknowledge.
Like most of my clients have been with me since the beginning, like 12 years. And yeah, and I mean, like that's probably my favorite part. At someday, I mean, you know, someday I'm obviously gonna walk away from this, and not anytime soon, but when I'm an old woman, hopefully, really old woman. Someday when I walk away from this, I that is probably going to be the part that I love the most and that I treasure forever, is the relationships that I built with women along the way. I watched women go through so many things, so many different life things, you know, and I've got to witness all of it and just hear all of it. And that's probably my most favorite part of what I do.
That's just beautiful. I'm sorry. I love this. I love this. I love this energy. I love the fact that, you know, you're someone who's really considerate of your clientele. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's odd to have that, because there are times where, you know, you go into the gym or you go into this different tanning salon. You know, I think I walked into one time just to walk into one, and, you know, you could just kind of get this vibe, and it was kind of like, I want to do it, you know?
You know, it's scary. And so, like, you know, what I do is airbrush tanning. So it's like custom tanning to your body. So I'm actually spraying you with a gun, with an airbrush gun. And so, you know, it's scary for the first time. I would say 98% of women who come to me for the first time are nervous. There is that 2% who are just like, they don't care or whatever. But most people are super nervous. And, you know, we're also, you know, especially as women, we feel like we have to fit this standard of beauty. So that's in your mind. You're like, I'm about to get naked in front of this woman that I don't know. And so my ultimate goal is to make them feel comfortable, and just to say, you know, we all feel like you. I promise. No matter what a woman looks like, we all feel the same. No matter their size, or we all feel the same, because we all still see the same beauty standard that we all feel like we're not meeting up to. And so I just, you know, that is my main goal when somebody walks into the studio, especially because they're about to get really, you know, vulnerable in front of me, is just to make them feel as comfortable as I can and make them know it's okay. You know, and by the end of it, they don't even realize, like, oh, it's over, that's it, you know, and it's like, wow. And then they fall in love because they're like, oh my gosh, man, you know, they feel slimmer, they feel healthier. That's just kind of what an airbrush tan does for you. So you just feel good. It's really more about the confidence that it gives you. A lot of the times my clients aren't, so, you know, sometimes they're coming because they have a specific event they're wanting to be tan. A lot of the times it's just, you know, girl, I just want to feel good in my shorts, you know, I just want to feel good every day. And it helps me feel confident. And, you know, I'm all about that.
Right.
Sure.
See, when I walked in there, I just walked in there to get the vibe, you know, and I think because I saw the environment and it just didn't feel right, you know, it discouraged me to even ask, like, if they had anything else to offer, you know, other than tanning. Because I personally don't need tanning. I love my skin, right? You know, but for people who do love to tan, you know, that's one thing. If you are going to look into this business, that's one thing to notate, is build a safe environment that people are going to be attracted to, and they're going to feel safe to be vulnerable. Absolutely. You know, these are vulnerable women who are coming forth, and, you know, whatever they want to do to their body, that's their body, you know, just encourage them. So if you're going to run a business like this, understand that we have, again, vulnerable people that are coming to you for you to help them and encourage them and remind them to love their body, you know, because at the end of the day, whatever we do to our body, whether we put on fake lashes, you know, curl our hair, straighten our hair, we do that because we love the way it looks on us, and it makes us and helps us be a little bit more confident and within ourselves. Not saying that, you know, people who don't use that aren't, because they are confident with themselves, but, you know, just understand like the vulnerability. So again, just make a safe environment, have a safe environment, and notate that down so that way you know to add that as you're doing this. So tell us, what is next? Do we have anything to look forward to?
For me personally, I am currently in this place where I am looking for my own. So I have a studio that I lease for airbrush tanning, but you know that I also teach fitness. I'm a fitness instructor. And so I am currently in like 3 different locations with my businesses. You know, I have my airbrush studio. I teach in 2 different locations, and it's time for me to find my own studio where I can house both of my businesses. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've been kind of on the hunt. Honestly, I had started in 2020, 2019, right before 2020, and then kind of into 2020. And then we all know what happened. And so that kind of just got put on hold.
Right.
And I'm actually very thankful that I didn't, you know, move into a big studio at that point, because, you know, airbrush tanning got shut down for a little bit. So, but now we're kind of just back on this, you know, we're coming out of it. We're back to like, you know, small businesses are starting to thrive again. And I am on the hunt to find my own studio where I can house both of my businesses. So that's kind of what's next for me. And I'm hoping that happens this year. The area that I'm in, though, the rent is very, very expensive. So I haven't found the perfect location, but I'm trusting Will. And I know that in his timing, he's going to provide that at the right time. His time, not my time.
And you will. Divine timing. And you will. Amen. And it will be, and it will feel right, and it'll feel beautiful, and it's going to be everything you truly, you know, so don't worry. It'll come to you because you're very deserving. And just so you guys know, that's right. You heard it here. Letty, you know, initiating opulence at the finest. So tell everyone where they can currently.
You can find me on Instagram. I am blackbird_fly_312531. And then you can follow Color Me Beautiful's page at CMB Tans on Instagram. And then also Color Me Beautiful Airbrush Tans on Facebook is there as well. And then, of course, we'll talk about my other business on a separate. You can find me somewhere else.
Yes. Don't worry, y'all. You're going to see more of Letty. Don't worry. And of course, all links will be in the description box below, because IOP got you guys if you want to go and follow her, and also, you know, obtain services. And, you know, if you just have questions, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to answer any questions. If anybody's like interested in starting an airbrush business, how do I start? Where do I go? Or, you know, any questions or anything that I've spoke about myself, alopecia, any of those things, I am more than happy to answer questions and kind of help in any way that I can.
Yeah. Well, Letty, thank you for joining the show and sharing your wisdom.
And thank you for having me. I love it.
Absolutely. And for my IOP family, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe on all of our platforms. Hasta la próxima. Ciao for now. Bye.